The circuitry was, and unfortunately in many cases is, still outdated. The outdated models cannot see that a woman is made up of, inter alia, her body and her mind. While she has a body, which is different from men, her mind is equally powerful as any other individual. The outdated minds see a woman only as her body. Therefore, whenever any intellectual exercise is called for, she is ignored, not seen as it were. Her mind is imperceptible. It is not that men only have these outdated minds. Many women have it too. The distinction between gender and mental competence must be clearly appreciated and understood. Otherwise, one errs in one's relationship with others and in our decision making. As I said, our minds, individually and collectively, need updating. The confusion between a woman's gender or her body and her mind leads invariably to erroneous connections. Every time a woman is denigrated, she has to ask herself, is the denigration of my body or my mind because of my body? If the answer is in the affirmative, it is sexual harassment. If the answer is in the negative, it is not. Second, every time a woman lawyer happens to be the junior of a male lawyer or vice versa, do not assume that there are necessarily sexual undertones in the relationship. That may be a wrong connection. It is true that a woman's DNA construct is such that caring and nurturing come to her naturally. For men, it is a learned art. But her mind cannot be confined to this role. As long as she is caring and nurturing, she uses her mind to carry out the tasks in connection with that role. But to limit her mind to cooking, interior decorating, nursing, teaching and other similar roles is to ignore her as an individual. Her gender is only one aspect of her identity. Like other individuals, there are other aspects of her identity, which, apart from her gender, includes most importantly her intellect. To those amongst us today who are women studying law or lawyers or judges, I offer my congratulations for keeping the neural pathway between their intellectual capacities and their role as professionals operative in the collective public mind. Before I leave the topic of sexual harassment, I would like to clarify one aspect. Naturally, both men and women have sexual drives, but some men suffer from a sexual overdrive, which is met through what the Supreme Court has described as sexual predation over physically weaker victims, which may include smaller boys. Women, of course, physically weaker, and small boys. Either for getting their sexual overdrive satisfied or used to establish power over them. Normally, this overdrive in men is kept in check through self-control or education or maybe fears of mental or bodily punishment. Women are not generally genetically so geared. That is the reason why women never spy or not even want to spy on men in bathrooms. Now, how is a woman to behave in court? It depends on how she wants to be perceived. If she wants to project her mental abilities solely, she will not dress or do anything which calls attention to her gender. If she wants to assert herself as a woman with a competent mind, she may make such concession to her gender which A, is in keeping with her sense of privacy, and B, does not detract from her perception by the public as a competent professional. All this is, of course, within the parameters of the court rules relating to the prevailing color code, black and white, in the profession and the law. In conclusion, have matters changed for the better as far as women are concerned, in the law are concerned? Of course they have. In 1913, women were debarred from entering the profession at all, because the law, according to judges of at least 2 high courts, did not consider them to be persons. So in 1913, we were not even persons. And in 2019, we are. And how? The law had to be changed statutorily. Women rarely took advantage of this till well after 1950. Now, I went back recently to give a lecture in Nagpur University. The majority of the students reading law were women. As far as judicial appointments are concerned, there was generally a great deal of tokenism initially. In 1975, which as I said was proclaimed as the International Women's Year by the UN General Assembly, 4 women judges were appointed in Calcutta High Court, irrespective of their competence. By 1978, when Leela Seth became a judge of the Delhi High Court, she was chosen on the basis of gender cum merit. A rule which was followed, I hope, in the case of my appointments, both to the High Court and the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, this rule of preference is sometimes also seen as a quota, which is wrong. First, because it tends to lead to meritless tokenism, and second, because it excludes the appointment of competent women lawyers on the ground that the quota is filled. My apologies to the erudite audience for not quoting any precedent or authority except my own experience. And my thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity for getting my point of view across to a captive audience. Thank you.
Honorable Justice Rumapal, for your erudite and constructive address on the issue of women in law, and for sharing with us this evening your experiences as a lawyer and judge. I'll be feeling my duty if I don't mention the few women lawyers who have so graciously consented to be here, with no offense meant to all our judges, our male judges. Being International Women's Day, I'd like to especially thank Honorable Justice Indira Banerjee, the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice Pratibha Singh, Justice Rekha Palli, and I hope I'm not being able to see from here who else is there, but many thanks for being here. And a special thanks to Honorable Justice Sikri, who just retired and has left an indelible impression throughout his career as a lawyer and as a judge. Ladies and gentlemen, it is said that constitutions are fulfilled when citizenship values are woven into the fabric of society, ensuring freedom for women in a more humane and just world order. Professor Mrinal Satish is currently the chairperson of the Delhi Judicial Academy. Prior to his appointment, he was a professor of law at the National Law University, Delhi, and was also the executive director of the Center for Constitutional Law, Policy and Governance. Professor Mrinal Satish's area of interest and specialization is criminal law. His research interests include gender and law, sexual violence and sentencing, studying the impact of the criminal justice system in its interface with vulnerable and disempowered groups. We're very happy to have with us Dr. Professor Mrinal Satish, who is a member, being a nominee of the Honorable Chief Justice of India, of the Supreme Court of India's Gender Sensitization and Internal Complaints Committee. Please welcome Dr. Mrinal Satish to give the vote of thanks.
Honorable Justice Rumapal, former Judge Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice Indu Malhotra, Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson GSICC, Honorable Mr. Justice Subhash Reddy, Judge Supreme Court of India and member of GSICC, Padma Shri Dr. Shobhana Narayan, dignitaries present in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege today to be proposing a vote of thanks on behalf of the GSICC of the Supreme Court of India for today's celebration of International Women's Day. The theme that UN Women has chosen for this year as well as for this day is Think Equal, Build Smart and Innovate for Change. Social innovations are being viewed as tools that work for all genders and are catalysts in achieving a gender equal world. The priority theme of the upcoming 63rd session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women is, I quote, social protection systems, access to public services, and sustainable infrastructure for gender equality and empowerment of women and girls. One of the focus areas is building public services and infrastructure that meet the needs of women and girls. Access to the legal system and legal services is an important area that needs focus, and we as functionaries in the legal system have an added responsibility to ensure that the rights of women are protected and safeguarded by the system. Planet 50-50 by 2030 is the goal set by the UN, and this involves removing structural barriers, ensuring that no woman or girl is left behind, and that women's ideas and experiences are equally heard in shaping policies for society, including in the law. The role and the work of the GSICC fits into this framework in striving to provide a workplace free from sexual violence and sexual harassment. On behalf of the GSICC, I express our gratitude to Honorable Justice Rumapal for agreeing to be the chief guest at today's event. Thank you, ma'am, for your support and for your remarks. Art is a very important pedagogic tool. The dance recital by Padma Shri Dr. Shobana Narayan exemplifies how powerful dance can be in putting across a message. We are grateful to you for agreeing to perform at today's event. We are also grateful to Dr. Narayan's team who provided musical support to her. We are grateful to Ms. Sanjana Narayan for completing the event. We thank the Indian Society of International Law for providing us the auditorium for organizing today's event, and to the members of the Registry of the Supreme Court, the staff of ISIL for all their logistical support. The GSICC also expresses its heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Chief Justice of India and to all the judges of the Supreme Court of India for their constant support and encouragement to the GSICC and support for today's program. We're grateful to all of you for attending the event. A special note of thanks to all the present and former judges of the Supreme Court of India and to the judges of the Delhi High Court for accepting our invitation and attending the event. When the GSICC began planning for this annual commemoration of International Women's Day, Justice Indu Malhotra and Justice Subhash Reddy proposed organizing a substantive program of the nature that we have organized today. On behalf of the other members of the GSICC and all of you, I thank Justice Indu Malhotra and Justice Subhash Reddy for their ideas, encouragement, and support in organizing this event. Meticulous and detailed planning under the guidance has gone into organizing today's event. On behalf of the GSICC, I thank all the volunteers of the GSICC who are all around here for the invaluable assistance in organizing this program. I also thank all my fellow members of the GSICC who have contributed to making this event a success. A special note of thanks to Ms. V. Mohana, Senior Advocate, who coordinated a number of responsibilities, and to Ms. Seema Dua, Member Secretary of the GSICC, and Ms. Mamta for their role in organizing this event. I hope all of you enjoyed today's event. Let us strive towards establishing a gender responsive and a gender equal world. I wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.